So I maybe purchased too many books. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a good old-fashioned book haul. I've purchased too many books over the course of the month of August and I wanted to share them with you guys. Some of them came in through Amazon pre-order, some of them came through book boxes, some of them came through Barnes & Noble had their book haul sale that I picked up some books at, and then I also just got some books randomly. Try and have some semblance of order, but it's probably just going to be kind of a random free-for-all. Some of these books I have read, so I'll tell you like a star rating and kind of a brief thoughts on them if I have read them, but a lot of them I haven't read also. So we're gonna get started. First two books I have are books that I got through book boxes. The first one being Book of the Month. For August, the book of the month that I picked is The Whisper Man. This is by Alex North. I've seen a lot of buzz about this online. I have no idea what it's about. I know it's a thriller and I've heard a lot of people say it's really kind of spooky. So I'm really excited to read this. I have a bad habit of getting book of the months and then never reading them, but I think I'm going to specifically read this one in October because I've been planning to read like all of the thrillers and like spooky books on my TBR list. I'm trying to like save for October. So I think this is going to be one of them. The next book that I have that I picked up this month came in my owl crate, and that is House of Salt and Sorrow. This is by Erin A. Craig, and I've actually already started this. I'm about halfway through it, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a retelling of 12 Dancing Princesses, which is a fairy tale, and it's set on a very atmospheric, spooky island, and it follows these 12 sisters who believe there's like a curse on their family because their sisters keep dying. The story picks up after the fourth sister has passed away, plus their mother has passed away, and the main sister, Annalie, is trying to figure out what this curse is, how to break this curse. There's also like pretty dresses and parties and all the kind of things you get with fantasy novels, but I really love it. The atmosphere is really good so far. I'm really excited to keep reading it. The next books are going to be books that I picked up at the Barnes & Noble book haul sale. Basically, they have a ton of books on sale for 50% off, which is a really good deal. I picked up 5 from there. First one being King's Bane. This is by Claire Legrand. This is the sequel to Furyborn. It's the second book in the Imperium trilogy. It's been on my TBR for the longest time, but when I saw this there, and considering it was 50% off, so it would have been like $9, I couldn't pass it up. Furyborn follows two queens in 2 separate timelines 1,000 years apart, and kind of how I guess they play a role in each other's lives. I'm not sure. I have no idea. But I've been wanting to read the series, and I picked up King's Bane. I have the first one down here. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. But the second one I picked up is a sci-fi novel, and that is Sky Without Stars. This is the first book in the System Divine series by Jessica Brody and Joanne Randall. And I realized after I picked this up that this is actually a sci-fi retelling of Les Mis, which sounds so interesting. It follows 3 characters as they're trying to start a revolution on this planet in space. And it sounds so much fun. I've been getting more into sci-fi recently after some of the books I read in August, so I was intrigued by the cover, and then when I got home I was like reading the synopsis more fully, and Les Mis retelling, and I don't feel like I've seen a ton of Les Mis retelling, so I think it'll be interesting to see. The third book I picked up is Nocturna. This is by Maya Montaigne. I'm definitely butchered that, but I actually don't know a ton of what this is about. I think this is about 2 people who their fates collide and they unlock a terrible ancient power. So sounds like a fun fantasy novel. I'd seen this. This was on my TBR. I actually almost bought this off Amazon, and then I saw it was on sale at Barnes & Noble, so I picked it up. But I like the cover. I think it's going to be a fun read. Next book is a book I realized I forgot to take off my shelf, but that is The Witch's Kind. This is by Louisa Morgan. This is about witches in the Pacific Northwest, which is really my dream aesthetic. There's a dangerous family secret. It's going to be atmospheric and witchy. I'm really excited. It's an adult paranormal. I guess witches are paranormal, but it's an adult novel. And I'm really excited. I saw when I was scrolling through like the Barnes & Noble book haul tag on Instagram, I saw that this one, I saw someone had like posted a picture of this, and I was like, ooh, that cover's really pretty. And then I saw it at the sale and I picked it up, and yeah, this would be good for like a bookstagram picture. good aesthetic. And then the last book I picked up is a book that I'm kind of ashamed that I haven't read yet. That is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is like a sci-fi novel following these two characters who lived on this tiny planet, and then their tiny planet kind of becomes the focal point for these two corporations and their like epic space battle. And it's told in a dossier format, so there's like documents and transcripts and stuff. I'm pretty sure everyone has at least understand what Illuminae is about. But I'm really excited to read it. I know the audiobook is really good. I'd listened to some of it, but I had a hard time with the audiobook following along with the story, so I think maybe if I try the physical book, I'll have a little bit of a better time. But that's all the books that I picked up for the Barnes & Noble book haul sale. For books I got on pre-order, I have one that I don't have on me. It's in my backpack and I can't be asked to get it, but that is All the Bad Apples by Moira Fowley Doyle. It's about a girl who on her 17th birthday experiences two things. She accidentally comes out to her family, and she also witnesses her sister jumping off a cliff. And then she ends up going on this road trip and starts getting these letters from her sister talking about this family curse. She's trying to break the family curse. I read her Spellbook of the Lost and Found book back in June, and it was really fun. It was a really good read. It's very Irish. So I'm excited to read it. I started it a couple days ago when I got it in the mail. So enjoying it so far. Excited to continue. The next book that I got in on pre-order was Let's Call It a Doomsday. This is by Katie Henry, who also wrote Heretics Anonymous, another book I've been meaning to read. But this is about a girl who has extreme anxiety, I believe, and she, as her form of coping, essentially becomes a doomsday prepper. So she starts collecting all these stuff that you would need for essentially the end of a world scenario. And then it's about her friendship with another girl that she meets at therapy. I've heard reviews on this that this is a nightmare for people with anxiety, so I'm a little bit hesitant to read it because from everything I've heard, a lot of the stuff that the main character goes through, what's her name? Alice's. I've heard a lot of the like depictions of her anxiety are really, really tough to read sometimes, and as a person who suffers from anxiety a lot, I'm like hesitant to read this. But I'm also very intrigued to read this. I don't read a ton of contemporary, but when I do, I tend to like lighter contemporaries. But I was dragged in by the yellow cover. So the last book, is this the last book? No, it's not the last book. The second to last book that I got in on pre-order is Ziggy Stardust and Me. This is by James Brandon. I don't know anything about this. This takes place in 1973 and it follows, what's the character's name? Jonathan, who is gay, and in order to kind of survive a lot of the difficult things he's going through, escapes into his imagination and his love of David Bowie in order to kind of survive that, some of the stuff that he's going through. I don't know a ton about it, but it sounded really interesting. I love a good LGBT queer novel, especially time period related ones. Like I read Let's Call Like a Love Story by Abdi Nazamayan, which takes place during the AIDS crisis in New York City, which was a really fantastic novel. And so this is a similar time period. It's a little earlier, so I'm excited to give it a go. Love a good gay novel. And then the last books I picked up are books that I've just picked up kind of over the course of the month. I bought a lot more books than I usually do this month. I wish I had a good explanation. I just don't. The first one I'm going to mention is the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I picked up the whole series, but I didn't want to lug all 4 books plus the 2 additional novels, the Stars Above and Fairest, but I did buy all of them. I read I read Cress and Winter this month, so I finished off the quartet. The Lunar Chronicles quickly became one of my most favorite series, so I wanted to own them. This is sci-fi retellings of popular fairy tales: Cinderella, Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, and Snow White, and a lot of stuff happens. I love the friendship dynamic in these books. I gave them all 5 stars, so I wanted to like own physical copies of them because I'm a consumerist at heart. The next 2 books I picked up are also by Marissa Meyer, and they are Archenemies and Renegades. This is the first book. This is the second book in the... Does this have a series name? I don't know if this has like a series name. The Renegade series. These are superhero books about a girl, Nova, who is on like the supervillain side, and she infiltrates the Renegades, which are the superheroes, in order to kind of take them down from the inside. I read Archenemies this month, so the second book in the series, and the third one comes out in November, which I have on pre-order, so I want to purchase the first two so I can have the complete set. I love these books. I gave this one 5 stars. I gave this one 4 stars. Truly am just a slave to Marissa Meyer at this point. The next 2 books I picked up are also part of a series that is A Conjuring, A Gathering of Shadows, and A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. I already owned A Darker Shade of Magic, which is the first book in this trilogy, but I read the first book this month in August. I am in the middle of reading the second one this month. These are fantasy novels where there's 4 Londons and following a guy who is able to travel between them all, and he joins forces with this girl to like return this dangerous magical item to one of the Londons. It's super fun. It's super fast paced. I love the banter. I love the plot and the world, and I love how the magic is done. And yeah, so I'm in the middle of this one. I think I have like, I'm listening to it on audiobook. I have like 4 hours or 5 hours left of it. So the next 2 books I picked up are also part of a series that I also read in August, and that is Scythe and Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. These are the first 2 books in the Arc of the Scythe series, which follows a utopian, dystopian society where they have conquered death, and in order to cull human population, they employ these people called scythes, which essentially kill people. And it follows these 2 teenagers who unwittingly become apprentices to a scythe, even though they don't want to. This series fucked me up so bad. I read both of them. I was gonna wait to read Thunderhead a little bit later because the last book, The Toll, doesn't come out until November, I think, but I couldn't wait. They were so good. They were both 5 out of 5. Nothing will quite make you question everything like these books. These books definitely lived up to the hype. Oh, I missed one of my pre-order books, but I did get Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks in on a pre-order. This is a graphic novel. I don't really know what this is about. It says Deja and Josiah are seasonal best friends. I guess it's about these 2 people who work on a pumpkin farm and they're best friends. I don't know if it's going to be a romance story, if it's a friend story, but I love a good graphic novel. Faith Erin Hicks also wrote Friend with Boys, which is a graphic novel that I own and I've been meaning to read for a while, so I love a good graphic novel. I buy as many as I can. The next book is another book that I don't have on hand and I don't know where I put it. I've been reorganizing my bookshelves, so it got lost in the fray somewhere, but it's The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. This is a book that I also read this month. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It follows a girl who is able to time travel and essentially travels through time in order to steal stuff, and then she ends up going back to 1902 in order to steal this book that has like all of these magical writings in them. And she ends up getting stuck in 1902, and she has to not only get this book, but also find a way to get back to her modern time. I'm hoping to read the second book in the series, The Devil's Thief, in September. So the last book that I purchased that I have already read is The Night Circus. This is by Erin Morgenstern. I actually already own a copy of this, but I was on Amazon just looking around and I saw this lovely UK edition copy of it and I had to pick it up. The Night Circus follows these 2 magicians who end up over the course of their entire lifetime throughout this book get essentially entered into this competition to see who's like the better magician, but really it's a story about the atmosphere and the circus that they end up being entwined with. There's not a ton of action. It's not super plot heavy. It's very character heavy. It's a magical realism story. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, but I feel like if I reread it again, I would love it a lot more. I, throughout most of this book, was trying really hard to like keep track of the timeline and keep track of all these stuff that was happening. And once I realized about halfway through that it's easier if you just kind of like go with the flow, it's a lot more enjoyable. And after that, I ended up loving it a lot more. So, but couldn't pass up this Lovely addition. The last 3 books I have are books that I haven't read, but I'm excited to read. The first one being Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins. This was originally published as Royals, but I know there was like a cover redesign and also a rename. This follows the sister of a girl who is getting married to the Prince of Scotland and her romance between this guy that the crown hires in order to like tame her. I'm hoping to read this for Contemporary-thon for illustrated cover, but it sounds really like a fun read. And I know Her Royal Highness, which is the companion novel to this, is a female-female romance, so chef's kiss. And it's a super short read. Excited to read it. I feel like I said that for all of these. Obviously, I'm excited to read them. And the next book that I got is a book that I've been meaning to read for a really long time, but I'm very intimidated by. That is Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is an adult fantasy novel following Kvothe throughout his lifetime. I don't know much beyond that. It's pretty long. It's got those like super thin Bible pages. It's 650 pages long, which doesn't feel that long, but I know I have the audiobook for it, and it's like a 30-hour long audiobook. So I'm like intimidated by it, but I know this is like super popular in fantasy and I just need to like get to it. And then the last book I have is another UK edition. This is The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I already own a copy of this, but it's in mass market paperback and I like can't stand mass market paperbacks. But this is about Locke Lamora and his like band of thieves. I don't know a ton about the plot of this story, but I know people really love this. Another series that I've been wanting to read for a really long time. I know some people say that the series goes downhill after the first book. I know some people say the series is flawless, but I have the audiobook for it. It's probably going to be on my September TBR. So we'll see. But that is everything for my book haul. You'll probably see a lot of these cropped up in either my August wrap up or my September TBR, because I know I have plans to read a lot of these really soon. But that is everything. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.